Hey everybody! So today we're going to be working on a tutorial for repeating or tiling seamless patterns. This also works well for game design, for seamless tile textures, anything that you want to sort of repeat indefinitely without being able to tell where it repeats. Alright, let's start off by opening up a new canvas. It doesn't really matter what size your canvas is, so long as you know what the dimensions are, and you know what half of the dimensions are. So in this case, I'm using 800 by 800, so the middle point would be 400 by 400. So you'll want to use whatever size works best for your current project. Personally, I like to start off at this point with some sketches and ideas of whatever sort of pattern or shape, tiling texture that I want to create. So, since I'm going to be going for a symmetrical pattern, I am going to add in a vertical guide on Photoshop at the halfway point. If you don't want to do a symmetrical pattern, this will still work. If you'd like to use some other guide or just sort of freehand it, that will also work. There is no particular right and wrong way to do this particular step. It just depends on what sort of pattern you need for your project. So I will probably be speeding up this section so that I can just fast forward through design of the actual pattern, because that's not what this tutorial is about. And we'll see you when we come back. Now that we've got the center portion of our pattern done, I'm going to save that half just in case we need it later, and move this portion up into the center-ish of the page so that we can work around it. It doesn't need to be exactly in the center, but we need to duplicate the layer so that we have a copy of the center portion. And if you're in Photoshop, this will be much easier to do, but I'll also show you a way to do it in case you're not in Photoshop. But for Photoshop, use Filter, Other, Offset to offset the image from the center onto both sides of the completed centerpiece. So in this case, we'll start with doing it halfway up and down. Now, because mine isn't quite centered as it was, it's not necessarily going to fit. So I can kind of adjust it up and down to where it fits. Oh, this one's a little long, so, which is okay. Means I just need to go to the canvas, add on just a little bit. I like to keep mine square, so it's a lot easier to tile that way. So we can add on a little bit, or you could have also made the center image smaller. Then we go back, filter, other, offset, and I think 450, just barely touching. So we'll go back, make it just a little bit smaller, say 98%. I like my even numbers. Make this one a little bit smaller as well because we want them to match. Otherwise it wouldn't really be a repeating pattern. 90. Nope. There's an extra number there. There we go. So we both want both of them are the same size. Now, again, filter, other, offset, 450, so it circles around the middle, and done. So, at this point you have at least one line that when stacked on top of itself will repeat indefinitely. You could, if you didn't want something repeating in all directions, just stop at this point. But if you want it repeating sideways as well, we want to make a copy of both those, merge them together so we have a copy of that center line. And now for the center line, we want to go filter, other, offset, and instead of moving it vertically, we want to move this one horizontally, off the same amount. Depending on how you want your pattern repeating, you can do this as it is and have it repeat where everything is in the same sort of quadrants. Personally, I like to offset it a little bit. So 225 would be a quarter of the way, and so you get this sort of diagonal pattern. And this is a lot easier to fill in. Now, if you don't have Photoshop and you don't have the filter offset tool, we can go back. You have the center square start and make a duplicate again. This time you'll have to move it by hand. So we want to move it in the Y direction up to this one. You'll kind of have to eyeball it, as it won't necessarily be perfect, and it might take a little bit longer to get right. But so you put it off, and then if you select all or Control A, and then layer, new, via cut, that will cut this particular piece, although you can't see the top, that will cut this particular piece at the edge, so that now you have one piece at the edge and one piece with the top edge. You can pull this down and bring it down to the bottom. Unfortunately, it is a little off, so you will have to adjust your centerpiece to fit so that it is equal from here and here. And you do essentially the same thing as you did with the other. Create a duplicate of that center line, merge them, And then you want to hold shift while you're moving these. And I do Control T to the transform tool, but you can also just use the move tool. And you'll want to move it over so that this is on the edge of the canvas. You can do it manually with numbers if that's easier. And hit enter. And here you'll want to splice it again by selecting the whole canvas, layer, new via cut, and drag over that opposite edge. It is of course going to be more difficult to do the diagonal pattern, as you're going to have to move everything around again, but it's, also it works. So it is a way to do it without Photoshop or any special fancy tools. You just have to, again, remember where the center is and move it around the edges. But so back to this. Now you get to fill in all of the gaps here with more decoration, unless of course you want to leave it as is and just have the centerpiece. You do have to remember that, so keep note of certain shapes. So like this one repeats here, here, here. So if you fill in this particular area, it will also fill in the same space over here, and over here, and over here. So you really only have to fill that in that once, and we'll fill in all those spaces. Same goes for this area. We'll also fill in this area, and this area, and this area. So you really only have to fill in these last two gaps in order for it to repeat out the entire pattern. So I will be back once I've filled that in. So I did realize that you don't even need to do that many pieces. These two are basically the same, so just really needed to fill in that one piece. And if you were paying attention, I moved it back to fit in with the original centerpiece, like this. So I'm going to redo that offset so that you can watch it again. Duplicate. So we have the same centerpiece, filter, other, offset. I like to redo this when I am making sure that the pattern fits, which is usually before lining it, so that I can make sure everything is all done correctly and fits together. And when moving the pieces around at the same time, it's easier to make sure that they stay in the same position to each other. So we have that, and then we duplicate this center line again, merge it together, filter, other, offset, horizontal by the same half margin, and quarter, move up and down, and we have our full tiling pattern. So if you take all of these together, and duplicate it and merge them together. Then you can see when we shrink this down to half size and duplicate it again and move it over, that once I get it into the right position, it tiles seamlessly, which of course was the goal. So now you can't even tell where the seam was. You can repeat it both vertically and horizontally as many times as you like, and the pattern will keep going. So from this point, you basically have the sketch for a pattern. You can go back, and because of the way that you duplicate everything, if you want to line the pattern and make it all pretty, all you have to really do is work on this center piece, and then you can duplicate it again and again for the rest of the pieces and to get your tiling pattern. So, voila! Tiling patterns. Yay! Oh, and if you would like a written version of the tutorial to follow along with as you work on it on your own instead of the video version, because I know sometimes I prefer the written version so I can just follow it on my own, there will be a link in the description to a written version. Bonus content. If you want to make it all fancy and pretty like the pattern I showed at the beginning, the deer head with the flaming antlers, then here is how we color it. So you have the centerpiece. We want to make a different color. Let's see, this looks good, I think, in reds. So we'll make this one a bright red. And for the background, a darker red. And these side pieces will want to be the same color, but not as dark. So we got the middle section that stands out. If you want some glowy pieces, you can duplicate the layer, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. I like to do it just a little bit for glow. This is sort of a quick and dirty glowing version. You don't, if you want to do a more sophisticated glow, then you can go through a few more steps, make it a little more fancy. But the easiest way is to do it usually either color dodge or overlay, depending on the color you're using, will make it look glowing. You can make it selective by erasing any that you don't want and just sort of leaving certain parts to glow instead of other parts, so make it look a little more exclusive. Because this is just for fun, and I don't know what this pattern is going to be for. If I ever use it for anything else, we'll see. But yeah, so easy glow. Reds are hard. Reds are usually kind of hard to work with, so an easier way to make it glow is set it a much brighter color, and that helps. And you can even double up the blurred layer if you want to make it even more pronounced. And then for a fancy little trick, we get our gradient tool, circle gradient, reverse it so that we can get the outside instead of a circle gradient. We make it around the outside edge here, and then Usually I find just playing with various different mixes is the best way to find something good. I think multiply, I liked that one. So if you turn it down just a bit, so you can just kind of see it there. Makes it look much more sophisticated than if you just have the flat colors. It's a little trick I've picked up. So, fancy. Hope you enjoyed, and if you'd like to show me what you did with the tutorial, I'd love to see it. Thank you.